This is Cullen Chapron, and you are watching the Break It Down show.
Cool, man. I appreciate you coming on and doing this with us. Brian Wetzel will be here in a few minutes to discuss third baseman. And this is what we're doing today is third baseman. And I dig you for jumping in with this. It's like these are the lively conversations that we have. And one of the things I like to do is there's always the consensus votes, right? Like Aaron Judge is the MVP, and if you think otherwise, you're crazy. And it's like, well, there's actually room for discussion, right? And there's room for discussion on the greatest this or greatest that. I ultimately don't care who the greatest third baseman is, but I do care about talking about all these different names that we should be considering because there are, turns out, a lot of great third basemen. And if we just say it's Mike Schmidt, nobody discuss otherwise. Well, that's not any fun. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's talk about third baseman. And I guess I'll start with you. Why are you passionate enough about baseball to come on my goofy show and talk about third baseman?
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there's been 23,000 players in baseball, and every one of them deserves their own individual story, be it overcoming great obstacles like Jim Abbott having one hand, or just being, as you mentioned with Judge, just an outright beast, and just wiping the floor. Like, I'm 5'8", buck 60, soaking wet. I mean, I look at Judge and I feel like Torres when they swapped jerseys that one time. Like, the dichotomy of baseball players is so vast where you have someone who is 6'10" playing the same sport as someone who is an Alejandro Kirk who is 5'8" and looks like a meatball, basically. No offense to Alejandro Kirk, of course.
Yeah. No, I dig the ability to discuss these guys and give them a second life, especially a lot of folks that we've just flat left behind. I mean, nobody ever discusses Matt Williams even being in the discussion for greatest third baseman ever. And when you look at his numbers, you're like, well, what the hell's wrong with Matt Williams? And by the way, we're going to penalize him for the players saying, hey, we need to get this game fixed and sitting down for about 100 something games. That's honorable. And, we give the guys in World War II a little extra credit, like and say, hey, this person missed 3 years, this person missed whatever, because of things that were totally out of their control. And then you look at Matt Williams in a different light. If he hits 60 home runs, he comes back the next year, maybe he has 45 more. All of a sudden there's a whole lot more home runs there and a whole lot more games played, and he becomes an even stronger candidate for something like the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, very true. I mean, these players just go by the wayside. I mean, part of, as I mentioned, that 23,000 players, people get forgotten, and it's unfortunate, frankly.
Yeah. There's Brian Wetzel right there. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Brian and I are men after of the same heart. You never know what hair configuration Brian will have on his face. We both are willing to. Man, I would chop it up when I was young. I'd have the long, skinny sideburns. Man, I moved it around. I loved the face as a palette. Yeah.
I can't grow over. I can't grow over here.
I'll give you some of mine. I'll grow it back in a couple of weeks. You'll be fine.
Yeah. There you go. That's so great. Brian, when we discuss these things, these all-time lists, like where's your heart at with all this stuff? I mean, I know you celebrate older players probably more than anybody else I know. You keep an eye on them, and then you have good, solid cases about it. But when we discuss like the greatest this, the greatest that, what are your thoughts in general about these kind of wacky lists?
About our differences in how we view the guys, you mean, or?
Yeah, well, just in general, just the conversations that happen on X and how combative they can be sometimes, and how precious people are with Mike Schmidt has to be the only guy, and you're like, well, I think there's a lot of third basemen out there that did a lot of things, and all of a sudden you talk different eras. It gets to be really complicated really fast. All you have to do is look. We were looking at the top 10, but I think we all agree that if you look 20 deep, that's just a lot of high quality third basemen, and a lot of these guys no one even knows their names.
Yeah, third base is kind of tough. I mean, you have a lot of guys that kind of bounced around and played a little bit of time there, moved around different positions, had to move at the end of their career to first base, like George Brett, or guys will move to third base at the end of their career on the opposite end, like Kyle Ripken. I mean, what position has changed more than third base from what it was before World War II to after? I mean, look at the guys before World War II. Pie Traynor catches all kinds of hell for not hitting enough. And meanwhile, I mean, the guys were so beat up. It was incredible. I mean, think about in the live ball era, guys are pulling everything right at you with the live ball coming at you, and you still have to play up a little bit because there's still guys that are bunting. It's not like today. and those guys were just taking a beat. And I mean, beat up hands, beat up limbs, chest. Yet you couldn't backhand the ball because they didn't have any hinged gloves. You just square up on everything, take it off the chest, take it off wherever. And for a guy like Pie Traynor to do what he did is beyond impressive. And if you don't put it into context, you're never going to see it. I mean, most people don't have third baseman before World War II listed, for that reason.
Yeah. How about, we talk about the challenges of playing the game. How about Ron Santos self-managing by feel his type 1 diabetes when there was no real way to do it? There was no,
Yeah.
there's no insulin around, man. Like they did that by diet, and he shouldn't have been able to play Major League Baseball, but he did. And then he'd be down and they give him a candy bar, then he'd have too much sugar. And oh my God, like that's insane to think that you're going to put him in the same category as, anybody, even Robin Yount, 20 years, younger, maybe, or 15 years younger, completely different world in terms of, and I'm not saying that Robin Yount's a diabetic, but they grew up in completely different places, just medically. And then look at Robin Yount and the guys of that era. If you blew your knee out, what you had to go through to get your knee maybe rebuilt compared to today, or even in the 80s, just all those changes. It's these giant chasms between these eras where how did Billy Cox even manage to play baseball on those Dodger teams in the 40s and 50s? It's amazing. And when you look at his numbers, not impressive in terms of offense, but go live that life, go play that hot corner, and you understand how incredible he was.
He's right on the edge of that era.
Yeah,
kind of came up when they were smaller defense first guys.
When you got the other thing too is like we just need a guy to catch the ball over there. Like that was the premium thing, and having the luxury of offense was just frankly a luxury net. And they really aren't big offensive bats at third base for the most of that early history. There are some guys, but it was pretty rare to combine those things. Where did those guys play, Brian? Instead of third base, where did they end up going if they had a good bat?
Well, I mean, first.
Yeah.
For the corner outfield.
Right. All right. Well, let's dig in. What did you guys find, just in general, before we go through our combined list? What did you guys find in terms of surprises at the hot corner? Go ahead and you go first, Cullen.
So I was scrolling through, so I had my own parameters for what I was looking for, and I figured, all right, let's go just hypothetical 1,400 games, which is, I assumed, 10 full seasons of 140 games, accounting for the change in length of schedule from 154 to 162. If you play 140 games a year, you're looking at a pretty much full season, and that averaged out to roughly 12,500 innings played. And the name that stuck out that I had frankly never heard of prior was Stan Hack, who, light hitting guy, granted it's 1930s baseball, but still very solid, just a long, good career that nobody really talks about.
Yeah. Why is that? Why don't we talk about Stan Hack? And why do we always got to talk about his feet when we talk about him?
I feel like it's not pretty, like people want like those big numbers where it's like we have Cal Raleigh this year hitting 60 home runs, or Judge going berserk, going near Triple Crown, again, barring Cal Raleigh, but at the same time, we want those big numbers because, number go up, it's awesome. Yeah. But when we see those low numbers, it's like, oh, it's okay, it's not as fun, but and we don't really have footage of that era. So we can't really judge on how good a person or player he was because we don't have evidence of such a thing.
Yeah, for guys to be offensively productive at third base back then, I mean, it was pretty much an impossibility. They were that beat up.
Yeah, I mean, you stick, like, even catchers back then, you stick catcher back there, you're wearing basically just a glorified cotton pillow, like you would if you were trying to make a homemade fat suit, and best of luck to you.
Yeah. Someone like even like Yogi Berra sitting back there behind the plate wearing what that version of catcher's gear was just a thick blanket. And the mask is pretty simple, but just simple gear compared to the modern. Like there was no knee pillows or any of that kind of stuff that they have. It definitely is a different game. All right, so what players stood out to you, or what things jumped out at you, Brian, as you went through this list and kind of figured out who was best?
I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, I've done, you know what I mean? I've been fooling around making these rankings for 15, 20 years online. Nothing really jumped out too much to me. I just kind of trying to edit the end of my list just to bring up guys who don't get a lot of talk. Like I put Pie Trainer. I was gonna have Machado and Ramirez 9-10. That's who I would have there, but I put Trainer and who else there at the end did I put? I can't remember who my 10th guy was. Oh, I did use Beltray. Huh. All right. Yeah, I put Trainer on there at the end just to talk about him. Because like I said,
Sure.
he's been so maligned mainly by the analytics movement. He's been maligned. His WAR is really low. And like I said, it's not taken into account that he played in Forbes Field, 500-foot fences, couldn't hit home runs. And without home runs, you're not going to walk as much. I mean, just look at the walk numbers. I mean, Babe Ruth set all the walk and home run records, or the walk, strikeout, and home run records. 3 true outcomes kind of go together. And when you're a guy like Pie Trainer, you can't do that in Forbes Field.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
That was the style back then. I mean, it was so different. I mean, the best third baseman of that era. I mean, Ossie Bluge, Willie Comm. I mean, they were all glove first guys, tiny guys. Basically looked like middle infielders, used to look until 10 years ago. Now that everyone's jacked.
Right. Yeah. Jacked or taller and more jacked.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of big talent, and also our talent pool increased because we started looking at other countries and bringing in more players from all over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tie in with those smaller players. You also have players like before Trainer, like Billy Nash. Even then,
Nash, yeah.
Yeah.
Phillies and Braves. Well, Bean Eaters, I guess they were back then, but yeah.
Or just
we recently had Harlan Clift, notable third baseman, make the NotGaetti list, and that was a fun thing to see because no matter what you do, and even though we never talk about this guy, he was incredible. I mean, you look at this career; he's got not a lot of games for Hall of Fame and greatness perch, but 1,550 games. I bet he's proud of that. And look at that OPS, 833. Just those two things alone. And I'm talking, but you guys know I do this. I'm only talking games at third base. If you want to talk about other games, maybe he's got more elsewhere. But in this case, I'm just talking about games at third base and numbers at third base. That 1,550 makes you one of the most prolific guys at playing third base ever. And like you said, Cullen, 23,000 dudes. And this guy's going to be one of the most game playingest guys ever, just by games. And that already is a mark of greatness.
Yeah. When I was doing my measurement, he was on there as well. He has over 13,500 innings just at the hot corner. That's huge, especially in that era. Never mind what he had to go through on a personal level.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing too. We lose track of that. There's 8 fewer games for those earlier guys, and over 10, 15 years, that's it's a season. And that will make your numbers a little lighter when you're at the tips, when you're really looking. How much does that matter for you, Brian, when you're thinking about who's the greatest? What does it matter if they only have 154 game schedule?
It makes it. Like you said, little things like that can make a difference. I'm not prorating from 154 to 162. You know what I mean? Like it's not that big of a deal to me. Okay. It's more of a big deal to peak, especially before World War II, when, like I said, they were so beat up. I sound like a broken record, but they were so beat up. I mean, all you really have to go by is their peak.
Yeah. That position really was a lot like catcher back then. You had a job, a lot more bunting too. You had to be able to get up and field those balls, and better bunters as well.
Never mind how poorly those fields could have been maintained as well.
Yeah. Freddie Lindstrom in the World Series with that pebble, 2 balls hit right at him, bounced right over his head.
Yeah. Charge down the line and fall face first into a pothole, pretty much.
Yeah.
There are three guys that jump out to me all the time when I look at third base, and they are Ron Say, Aurelio Rodriguez, and Ken Boyer. Man, I guess technically George Kell always surprises me too. And I'm like, damn, I never ever considered it. I keep seeing Augie's name, and I keep forgetting just what a quality third baseman is. He doesn't make my top 10, but he'd be in the league. Like if you took all the top 35, 40 players, he's on that list. And I never, I it's crazy. George Kell too. Like we never ever ever think of these guys, and yet there they are doing incredible things and having long careers.
Yeah, longevity was a huge aspect of what I was looking at for players. Longevity and durability mainly, where it's just like, all right, how long can you stay out there, stay at that position, which is, in my eyes, one of the more premium positions. Like, yeah, of course, you have your shortstop, your center field, your catcher, but who else is, aside from the shortstop, is really if anything, with the amount of pull-happy right-handed hitters these days, like your Stantons, who just shoot lasers down the left field line, who else do you want there aside from like a very steady defensive hand?
Right. Yeah. Let's get into the 10th place picks. Cullen, you got Evan Longoria. I'm not laughing at that. Just there are so many different names on this. So Evan Longoria, you've got at 10, and then Brian, who do you have at 10? I'm trying to look at your list here.
I have Pie Trainer at 10.
Pie Trainer at 10, and then there you go. And then who did I put at 10? Let's see here. I think I have Brooks Robinson, which is a new ranking for me because I had Brooks up higher before, but I realized there's just so much offense. And I guess this is the thing I'll say about these guys, and I'll let you guys riff on the top 10. When it comes to at the very greatest of the greatest, like the alphas of the alphas, you have to have longevity and durability. You have to, like you were just talking about, Cullen, because you got to mix everything, defense, offense. You can't be a one-way player and rise. Not anymore. Like there's just too much talent in there. And that's one of the crazy things at the end of the bell curve is just how much talent and how closely packed it is. And so I definitely value longevity, that durability, but also blending power and defense. And for me, Robinson comes up light on the offense side. But man, I don't know that there's ever a better defensive player ever. I mean, him and Blade on that side of the infield, they make the Orioles a significantly better team. And then we're not even looking at center field where they also were lights out. But to have the greatest third baseman by defense standing out there, that made a difference. And I couldn't take him completely off the list, and I don't know that I ever will because he is kind of the definition of a third baseman. But that's why I have Brooks at 10. Let's do Pie Trainer real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of waxed poetic about him here already, but like I said, he's been so underrated by analytics because of his park and because of the rigors of the position during his time. And like you said, Colin, a guy like George Kell, he could have longevity because he didn't have to square up on every ball. He could backhand. He didn't take that beating. His fingers weren't torn. He didn't have to use two hands. That's a big thing too. His fingers weren't all banged up and everything. A guy like Trainer, man, those guys just, you can't, there's almost no words to describe the kind of beating they took. If you look at the guys, Jimmy Collins had a fairly long career. Home Run Baker didn't have a very long career. Trainer managed to pull one out, but a lot of those guys, man, they ended up getting moved off third. Like Frankie Frisch ended up getting moved off third. Tommy Leach, Freddie Lindstrom got moved off third. It was just hell. I mean, and then you look at catchers from that era too, like Roger Bresnahan made the Hall of Fame. He's a peak only guy because he was so beat up. That's just the nature of the beast back then.
Yeah, you're right about that. And then you had Longoria, so let's go ahead and go with that. Longoria.
I mean, I feel like Longoria was. I mean, him and I being birthday buddies aside. I mean, again, totally unbiased here, but at the same time, I feel like looking at Longoria's career, it was just solid for a good amount of time. I mean, you think about him during those Tampa Bay years, he was a leader in that clubhouse as well, which is just some sort of X factor that I qualify as well. First thing I think of is that game 163 home run along with Dan Johnson's that same year, I believe. Then on top of that, you have like it's not exactly a great moment, and I'm sure Ed Longoria himself wouldn't want it to happen again, but him sticking up and telling BG Upton, hey, you got to run that ball down. Like, that's leadership quality material. Then you have him as a veteran presence on that 2021 Giants team with Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, and them helping out the new guys.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, man. He looked like he was going straight to Cooperstown there those first few years, and then the awards just dried up. And what did he have? Back issues, I think.
I think it was too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a big Longoria fan, and I agree with you taking leadership and stuff into account. Absolutely, like he was a dude. He was a winner for sure. I would have loved to have seen him have a healthier career. See what he could have done.
Went in, did his job, didn't really complain or anything. Just went in, did his job well, and then we'll go home.
Yep. Yeah, he was great. What's the difference between the Longoria, Robin Ventura, and David Wright?
You want to take this, Cullen? You're the Mets. You're the Mets guy.
I'm a very much a Mets fan, and growing up, I did play third base, and I love David Wright. Don't get me wrong; he is by far easily my favorite player. But at the same time, not his fault. His injuries, one, and I hate to blame the Wilpons, but that first couple years of Citi Field, that fence is too far back. You're not going to get anything with that. And I know you're a Phillies fan, Brian, but I feel like barring that 2007 collapse from the Mets, he'd have an MVP in his pocket too.
Yeah, he might very well could have. I'm like we were talking via DM. I'm a big David Wright fan. I mean, that's saying something for a Met. I mean, his career slash line, he's 296, 376, 491. He's a base stealer. He went 30-30. He had the potential to go 30-30 more if he would have stayed healthy and without, like I said, and third base. I mean, there's still the rigors of the position. Like it's not like it was before, 70 years ago. But I mean, you're still getting beat up over there, and the guy could just do everything. I mean, like you said, a leader, defense. I mean, he wasn't maybe not the greatest defensive third baseman, but he won a couple of.
He was above average, I would say, personally. Granted, again, my bias, but he was definitely one of the better defensive third basemen in the league. And as you and I were talking about over DMs, only 3 third basemen ever, him, Hojo, and now Jose Ramirez, have ever gone 30-30 as a third baseman. And we're not counting Jazz here because that was only 29 games this season.
Yeah.
They played third.
Good enough defense to qualify as a 5-tool player, in my opinion, and that's extremely rare at third base.
Let's look at our number 8 or 9 picks. So you've got Machado, Cullen. So we'll let you start.
I do have Machado.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because he's going to end up in the top 10. I mean, he's back there lurking. Give him 2 more seasons of any kind of normal ball for him, and he's going to be right there knocking at the door.
I mean, if you look at his stats just in general right now, he's sitting on the doorstep of 400 home runs. And while he, frankly, started out as a bit of a jerk in Baltimore, he really matured and became that leader that Tatis Jr. now looks towards as sort of a mentor figure over in San Diego.
Yeah, I thought that reputation Machado got was unfair. But I don't know. I wasn't that close to the situation.
He's over 2,000 hits now. He's almost at 400 doubles, almost at 400 home runs. His defense is premium. Sure, he's only won 2 Gold Gloves, which is ludicrous to think about. But you think about him just almost lazily, like a lazy tiger, just backhanding a ball over a third and just whipping it across the diamond, and he's out by 20 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm happy. Pete knows me and Peter are both big Machado fans. Another guy, maybe not a 5-tool player. He's not very fast and he kind of runs funny. But I thought he got a bad rap when he was young. I mean, people said he had a bad attitude. He was a punk, this and that. And like I said, I wasn't close to the situation. Maybe he was a dick, but I always thought it was unfair. He always seemed like a kind of guy that hustled and cared and wanted to win. When he came up for the Orioles, he was a big deal.
He does have the bad version of resting bitch face too. Like he has a whiny looking face.
He looks like a petulant child
kinda.
almost.
Yeah, he does, right? Yeah, that's what I mean, like the wrong kind of bitch, not like a sexy bitch, but like
almost
a whiny.
like he's pouting.
Yeah.
Like,
And look, if we're gonna hold that against him, okay, but obviously he plays with passion, and
Yeah.
and it's hard to argue the numbers. And if he had started at third base instead of shortstop too, his numbers would be even stronger. I mean, let's not forget he played MVP level ball. It's a young player. So here's just like a thing that I've recognized when I look at baseball is if you start at age 19 or age 20, if you're a free agent at 25 or 26 years old, or like A-Rod, 24 years old, Jesus Christ, you're really good. If you can withstand those first 5 years, you're going to be a special player. And so guys like Jackson, all the Jacksons, Chorio, Merrill, and I don't know so much about Jackson Holiday, but maybe
he's still coming into his own, I think. He's
right,
still got
right. So
time.
if he can withstand those first, get to 24, get to 25 years old, and just be like there, man, that's already so. Like we struggle with the median age, right? 25, 27, 28 years old, in that range. Well, that's when everybody's at their peak, right? So these guys aren't even supposed to be in the league, and they get there early. That bodes well. And Machado's he's one of those guys, and it's an accelerator on the back end of your career because you have those seasons that allow you to get to the big numbers and home runs and hits and all those kind of things.
I mean, you look at it, he's going to be 34 years old this upcoming July. 34. He's still probably got 4, maybe 3 or 4 years left at third. Then they might just move him to DH permanently. But at the same time, the dude finished 9th in MVP at 20, leading the league in doubles with 51.
Yeah.
Who does that?
It's a kid in junior college trying to trying to get drafted, and he's in the big leagues doing that, right? So there's a number of guys like that here. Let's also not forget, since we're talking about the class of 32, all the 32-year-olds this year, we also have Matt Chapman, and we have the other Jose Ramirez are also elite. And if we allow Matt Chapman to have a chance to have the Hall of Fame, these guys all 3 of those guys could wind up in the Hall of Fame. They're all 32 years old this year.
Very true, very true. I mean, Ramirez is 5-tool, as is, pretty much.
Right.
And there's only been, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, 9 or so 300 players.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sitting over there on the doorstep with like 287, 285 or something like that for homers and steals.
Yeah. This next few players are so packed tight. I mean, it's just incredible. And there's a lot of we're as we should be. We're blended on this. So let's look at number 8, but realize the difference between number 8 and number 4 is just nothing. There's no difference between these guys. So Brian, you have Boggs at 8 all time, and he just left his chair. So Cullen, you don't have. Oh, there's Brian. Hey, Brian.
Oh no, I was leaning over, messing with my laptop.
You have Boggs at 8 all time. Talked about Boggs a little bit in your pick and why you got him there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people. It was shocking to me have Boggs as high as top 3, which I don't quite see. But I mean, the batting titles. I think he had seven batting titles or something like that. Maybe I'm high on that, but it's some crazy number. Maybe I'm thinking of his on base percentage, but just an incredible player. I mean, he wasn't the greatest defensively, but getting on base, smacking doubles off the green monster, and he wasn't quite as good on the road. But I mean, who is when your home park is Fenway?
Right.
But yeah, I'm a Boggs guy. Did what they asked him to do. He wasn't going to steal a lot of bases or anything like that, but he was always on base, and frequently in scoring position.
Yeah, that's true. I had Santo there, and if you told me I had to put Santo third, I could get down with that. He's just an incredible player. Didn't get his due. I hate that he had to die before he got into the Hall of Fame. Clearly, I don't know why people didn't think he was a Hall of Famer. You look at how great he was, and then you throw in the fact that he was self-managing type 1. That's That's
Yeah.
crazy. And so I've got him there, but I've changed my mind 100 times on where Santa was in the top 10, but there's no denying for me that he's in the top 10. So I'll say that about him. And then the first appearance of Eddie Matthews, Cullen.
Yeah, you tell me. You hit 512 home runs as a
Yeah.
third baseman. Sure, I never saw him play because I'm 27 years old, so never saw him play. But at the same time, 512 home runs, and the other potent bat in that lineup is Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you have two players like that, and I'm a huge proponent of lefty righty back to back in lineups. You have those two back to back, whichever order you want to throw them in. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And he's an offensive weapon, and that's huge and the duration he played.
It's true. I mean,
career and you hit 500 home runs as a third baseman.
Yeah.
That's a premium.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. The one thing I'll say that I hold against him, because you have to hold something against these guys, is that his career is front loaded. He came out of high school as an MVP player, but was no longer that kind of player pretty early in his career. Like a lot of guys from that era, he hit that late 20, early 30s nexus, and he becomes a different player. And that's just, the aging was harder back then. But when we're measuring from the tips, for me, it's a difference maker, although I do have him ranked higher than you do. So, there's a fat lot of good me talking about all that stuff. Okay, let's do the seventh round here. So the seventh here, you talked about Hack earlier. Do you want to really quick rebrush on Hack, Cullen, or have we covered him good enough?
I think we've covered him a decent amount where it's just let me just pull up some stats because I guarantee there's going to be like two people that know who we're talking about here, but you're having lifetime 300 hitter and pre-nighttime stadium Wrigley, because they didn't get lights until the 80s, which gives you basically 180 plus hits a year, doesn't hit a lot of home runs, which perfectly fine. It's a similar thing with Boggs, but he doesn't strike out. The man struck out 466 times in his career, and by comparison, his walks are sitting at over 1,000.
That's crazy.
You have a guy with elite plate discipline. Sure, he gets caught stealing a lot, but at least he's trying. With those no pizza box bags, he might steal he might be a 30 steals guy at third base.
Yeah. Yeah. If that needed to be a thing, maybe he could have done it. He had them small feet. He could have avoided the tag. Brian, talk about, you've got Brooks right there. Is there anything you need to say about Brooks that hasn't been said already?
Not really. I was kind of thinking, I'm not trying to trash Brooks or anything when I say this, but Brooks is the kind of guy that I don't know that he's a Hall of Famer if he debuts before the hinge glove, not because he wouldn't have been a great defender no matter what the era, but because he would have been so beat up that his already limited offensive production would have been, you know what I mean? It would have been almost non-existent.
Yeah. And again, he played in a time where Mickey Mantle had to go to the hospital during a World Series because he had an abscess on his hip. That wouldn't happen today. Maybe he'd have to sit down and rest for rest's sake, but we just have a better control over the human condition medically today. And so, third base, you're diving, just like the difference between Maury Wills and somebody today stealing. Those guys just got beat up and there was less, they just had to deal with it. There's a lot more treatments.
The ground screw ability where they're just diving on basically compacted dirt, never mind if it's a multi-use stadium, so they're basically just diving on almost concrete. Yeah.
All right, so I'll start us off on round 6 here. My sixth, and look, again, I can put these guys anywhere. It's Ramos Ramirez. He paralleled nicely Beltre. He was also a very young start, and even when I watched him back then, and I knew to watch him because he's like, oh my God, this guy started early. He determined if you hung a curveball. And a lot of guys thought they threw good curveballs to Ramos, and he said, no, thanks. Let's go into Waveland or in Milwaukee or in Pittsburgh.
Just name an NL Central stadium with a Ramos.
Right, yeah.
And immersion in the NL Central.
If I was to tell you that he is, and I'm a stickler on this, he is fifth all time in home runs at the position. And I don't know that anybody playing right now is going to catch him. Arenado's not going to hit another 40 home runs. I don't see that happening. Maybe maybe Machado can get there, but he's got 381 home runs at the position. The guy next up above him is Chipper at 391. And you look at his numbers and Chipper's numbers. Look, Chipper is more reliably the better player overall, and that's why I put him over him. But Ramos also is going to give you 200 more games, or is it 150? He gives them about like 125 more games, and that's a season. So I sometimes would put Ramos above Chipper, but in this case I didn't. But we miss him. I actually wrote something about him in my stupid little blogs that I write on X, just to say, hey, pay attention to this guy, because if these guys are Hall of Fame, is Ramos that much different? If and maybe I've got him rated too high, but I don't think so. When you look at the overall offensive production, not a big leather guy, but also held the position, so he was good enough for whatever team he played for. And so that's my thing on Ramos Ramirez. Any thoughts on him, or do we move on to somebody else?
Yeah, that was an excellent article on your part that really shed light on how forgotten Ramirez is, because nobody talks about him.
Yeah,
he was a hell of a ball player.
Yeah, I mean, you have a very, very solid career, but he also unfortunately gets maligned due to just with little playoff experience, just from playing in that very heavy NL Central when there were 6 teams in there.
Yeah,
because people might not remember, even though it was only 12 years ago, the Astros were in there up until 2013.
Yeah.
Sure, the Brewers came over in 97, but at the same time, he came up in 98. So he was pretty much stuck in that 16 NL Central.
He's got almost 900 extra base hits. How about that for a shocker? I mean, it's 894 extra base hits. If that doesn't make you smack your face and say, wait, at third base? What are you talking about? Ramos Ramirez? 900? Look at the list of people who have 900, and I'm rounding up 6 extra base hits, but it is shocking to say the word number 894. There's a lot of dudes that don't have 894.
A lot of dudes that don't have 8, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. He's got 894 more than me, man. We talked about Matthews earlier, and that's your 6th round pick, Brian. So Tell me, you want to see anything else about Matthews? What did we miss about him?
Harlan Clift was a little bit more of the pioneer of the power hitting third baseman, but Matthews obviously took it to a whole nother level. He does a little credit there to him for taking that approach.
Yeah.
Knowing he could do it.
We're getting some great comments in here too, by the way. So I'm trying to get these. If I miss you guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get y'all. Cullen, I missed one of your guys, so I don't know who you have above Hack, but on my list you have 9 players, and so I don't know.
I instituted a new list that I sent you a little bit ago, but 7 I had Baker.
Okay.
I had the direct pastry chef, as you will.
Yeah.
Baker.
But
okay, I'm gonna update that.
Go
ahead.
I mean, the guy's nickname rather, was just home run. I mean, you're hitting double-digit home runs in an era that, unless you're Ned Williamson of the 1800s Cubs, you're not hitting any more than that. You're not going to Roger Connor this season, all right? But you have a guy who's hitting double-digit home runs and is putting his body on the line for that.
Yeah.
With that shitty leather glove that probably needs WD 100 just to even move an inch.
Yeah. NY Varsity Sports. I think I know who that is. That's an awesome comment about curveballs and Pedro Serrano. I appreciate that. And by the way, I also appreciate the couple of dollars from New Life, man. I appreciate you being on here. And hey, it's all right. We will continue to do these shows. We've got a couple in the backlog. Just keep on coming. We'll even have you on. We'll get you to make a list. We're not done doing these by a long shot. So I'll say that. So Cullen, I got to figure out. So you've got Baker at 7. Who do you have at 6?
At 6, I had Matthews.
Okay. So we got that a little backwards. Okay. All right.
Yep.
And then who do you have at 5?
5, I had number 5, George Brett.
That's right. I didn't want to acknowledge that. That's why. Okay, good. Well, let's talk about George Brett then. You have George Brett at number 5. How come?
I mean, the extra base hits, for one, is a huge thing with me. Like, I mean, you have a guy who just hits the absolute shit out of the ball.
Yeah.
And he is a fiery competitor and a fiery human being, if you just only remember him from the 1985 Pine Tar game. But you have a guy that's 3,000 hits. Sure, he moved over to first base towards the end of his career, but that happens when you play the game as aggressive as he did.
Yeah.
600.
Does that so in my world that goes against him though. He couldn't hold the position, right? And so and this is just me pushing back gently here. He does have a lot of extra base hits, but he's got 1,000 games at not third base. So what do we do with that for the guys that manage those extra 1,000 games there?
I mean, I was contemplating either putting Boggs or Brett, but at the same time, they're similar players in regards to, all right, he hits the ball all over the place. He's a tenacious player in which he just kind of goes at it no matter what. And I feel like if he didn't want to stay with the Royals, he could have stayed at third base on a different team.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's fair. And you're able to wrap your head around and look, the other 1,000 games is because he can hit the shit out of the ball. So, yeah. I mean, there's no denying that. And is he a top 10 all-time hitter? He's certainly in the conversation. Got to do a lot of work to make him not be there. But just for the record, the guys who played third base, extra base hits, he is pretty far down the list, but not that far. He's in the top 12. So, despite missing, hundreds of games compared to his competitors, he hit the shit out of the ball, and that ain't changing. So there you go. Brian, any thoughts on Brett? I know you're going to talk him up later on. If you want to skip, we can.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. We can talk about him now since we're talking about him. I'm a big George Brett fan. I mean, another guy who maybe not the greatest defender, but like Cullen said, a hard-nosed player, coachable, everything you could want, a leader, fighter, could play in any era. He's just a great player. I'm a big fan of the guys. What he did against the Yankees in those championship series in the late 70s, it was kind of all for naught, but he came up clutch for them a lot. And yeah, just built the Royals were a pretty brand new team when he debuted, and he was coached up by Charlie Lau, one of the best hitting coaches of all time. He credited Lau a lot for his career success. And just, I mean, that kind of attitude trickles down. I mean, you see George Brett being coachable, that's who's going to say no if George Brett is saying yes. You know, there's a big
Lau and
deal.
Riniak have fallen out of favor completely. We don't discuss that those guys were gurus and they fixed dudes.
Lau with his closed front foot.
Yeah. And their swing that they kind of dictated with the follow. Both of them had a unique follow through, and we don't see as much. We don't see as much uniqueness in swings. We see a lot more specifically tailored swings, good or bad. I mean, that's what we see now. So, all right. So let's. So the next guy. Let's just talk about, because all three of us have Chipper Jones coming up next in our cycle, and so Brian and I both have him here at this position, and then Cullen has him one rank up. So that's all basically the same. So we all have him either fifth or fourth. Chipper Jones, gentlemen, who wants to talk first?
Brian, you want to handle this one, as he is a fellow NL East rival of the both of us?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't name his kid Citizens Bank.
No, or veteran.
Nope, also true.
Or RFK Jr.
Yep.
Or senior, I guess.
Or the Huron Beathorn Stadium.
Yeah.
The Expos used to play at.
Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of Braves games. My pap was a Braves fan. We watched the games every night after work, and saw a lot of Chipper Jones, 300, 400, 500 career. I mean, that's rare. You don't see that from just about anybody, let alone a third baseman. And another guy who was, I don't want to necessarily call him a butcher with the glove, but he wasn't great with the glove. But I mean, what's it matter when you're Chipper Jones, when you're raking like he is?
Oh my God. Yeah. You take that bat anywhere in the lineup, any position on the field, you take that bat.
Yep.
One of two players all time to hit 300 from both sides of the plate as a switch hitter. Frankie First being the other.
Yeah. It's crazy to do.
Good point.
The other thing too about Chipper is when he came up, he instantly blew out a knee, and that kind of killed off whatever chance he had remaining at playing shortstop.
True.
Had that knee held together, maybe we'd be talking about one of the greatest shortstops. Maybe he would have been part of that big three. It would have been, hey, who are these new kids? Chipper's been there and doing it, and so he had a lot of athleticism earlier on. If his knee holds together, would Chipper have been able to stay at short though? What do you guys think about that?
Hard to say. He's a
Yeah.
big dude.
Yeah, he is a. I mean, Rodriguez is also a big dude too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rodriguez
Cal.
is also big. Cal was big. Granted, he moved
Jeter's
over a
pretty
foot
big.
as well.
For shortstop.
Yeah, that's a lot of big guys. You didn't name a single small guy. Even like Chris Taylor, when you see him in real life, like, God damn, that guy's big. You know, these guys are all over 6 foot. And you're like, oh my God, this is like if they stood next to Cullen would look like a regular sized
Yeah,
human.
I'm going to look like Jose Altuve.
Yeah, right. You're like, but that's Chris Taylor, but that's Derek Jeter. So these guys
Yeah.
are, definitely.
When I was a kid,
that
I
big
stood next
everything.
to, again, not a third baseman, but I met Sam Horn.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
I shook that man's hand, and I swear my hand disappeared. It was just enveloped by the.
You're lucky you didn't get caught in his gravitational force, and you weren't like a little Pluto-sized planet just living around
At
him
that
right
point,
now.
it was the dwarf planet. Yes.
Any final notes on Chipper other than a hell of a ball player and a great X account to follow, by the way, everybody?
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
Great outdoorsman too.
Yeah, right. Here's another guy that I struggled with when he played, but I had to get there. So at number 4, I've got Scott Rowland, and I don't know what Scott Rowland wasn't great at. Now that I look at his career, I was pretty hard on his absence and his time missed due to all the things that happened at third base. And then I looked and I'm like, God damn, that guy played 2,000 games. Like he was just there a lot, and so I had to lighten up on my perception versus what he actually did. He picked it up and he put it down for a long time. Anybody gets over 2,000 games, I don't care who you are, I don't care how good you are an exceptional player and really worthy of any discussion, because that's at third base, at catcher like Jason Kendall. Jesus Christ, man, that's not easy. So I give all the credit to Scott Rowland. I was totally wrong about him. He had tons of power. He had a ton of doubles. And if not for Beltre and Robinson, he'd be the clear greatest glove of all time at third base. I mean, he was just, and that's it. If you want to say he was better than Beltre, you probably can make a good argument for it. He could pick it, and he went and got it. So he had everything: offense, defense, durability, longevity. Shit, what else do you want? So I got him at 4.
Yeah, I remember seeing him play. I grew up in New England, so I remember seeing him play in the 2004 World Series with the Cardinals. But then I remember a couple years, I frankly thought he was an old man then, and then a couple years later, he's with the Blue Jays. I'm like, he's still playing?
Yeah,
and then sure enough, he plays 3 more years with the Reds.
Yeah.
I mean, the man aged gracefully, frankly. I mean,
surprisingly, yeah, from how injured he was early on.
Like Machado, a bit of a reputation of being a clubhouse problem, though. Was that true, or is that mostly hype? Brian, you're pretty good at that stuff. Was Rowland the problem everybody said he was?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think it's necessarily I don't think the criticism is necessarily unfair, but it might be exaggerated.
Yeah. Why did he have any delay in getting? I mean, here I have him at 4. You guys don't have him on your top 10, but why was he missed so badly by so many people, including me?
I don't know. Back in the day, he was favorably compared to Beltre until Beltre really pulled away from him. I think Beltre pulling away from him kind of hurt his reputation a little bit. I was surprised he got in the Hall of Fame like he did. I didn't see that coming. I thought he would have been a Veterans Committee pick.
Yeah.
I mean, all these new voters are kind of hell-bent on worshipping at the altar of war, where it's like, oh, it's a high war value. He's got to go in. But I didn't even look at that when I was making this list, frankly. I don't subscribe to that belief where, yes, it's more correlation versus causation sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, it makes sense, but what really makes war?
Yeah. Well, 874 extra base hits kind of helps. He's what is he, number 2 all time in doubles? Still has 300. We're talking again strictly at the position. 300 plus home runs, which is pretty damn good. I mean, not many guys can claim more than that. And 3,600 total bases. He was busy. He was busy. Got on base over. Hang on, that's Aramis. I'm doing the wrong dude here. Rowland. 874 extra base hits, 500 doubles, excuse me, sorry, Scott, 314 home runs, 3,600 total bases, 3,000 times on base, It's a lot. You know, a
Mhm.
490 slugging percentage. That
Here's
sounds
a
like a
fun
Hall of
fact
Famer to
for
me,
you.
fellas.
Here's a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
Aside from pinch hitting and pitch running, how many games do you think Roland played at a different position other than third?
Oh, I know he's got an extreme purity at third base. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I'll say he doesn't have 10 other games at any other position.
He
He's
doesn't
got
have any.
huge, yeah,
None.
huge purity.
Only third base, aside from
Wow.
pinch hit and pinch run. He has over
Somewhere
2,000
I've got a
games
ranking
played at
of the
third base
purity of
alone.
position. And
Specifically
yeah,
2023. He is strictly third base aside from pinch hit, pitch run. And that's one pinch run appearance early in his career, because I don't think you want Scott Rowland pinch running for you.
right.
But
Yeah,
when you say
deserving.
purity of position, that is Scott Rowland. Pure third base through and through for those 17 years.
Why doesn't he make your guys' list then? We just talked about a lot of accolades. Super high purity on third base, 500 doubles. Jesus Christ. What else did you guys need to see from him?
I feel like I didn't really see like a defined peak. Like, yeah, it was consistent for a good bit, but I didn't see anything like earth-shattering to me, whereas he's averaging 25 to 35 home runs a year. Sure, he's having good RBI value, not super high in strikeouts, but it was just nothing. It was consistent for a long time, yes, but it wasn't anything like echelons above the, like Beltre has his 48 home run season. You don't have that with Roland, where it's just kind of year after year in and out, where it's just kind of lulls you into a sense of, I hate to say boredom, but boredom.
Yeah. I love Jaffe's work, and I know that he's big on the 7-year peak. Here's a problem with that. One, he'll put Frank Thomas in the first base, and he doesn't belong there. He doesn't even have 1,000 games in that position. The other thing, and you got to put him somewhere, right? So make a new category, multi-position players. That's where Brett probably belongs. But also, when you talk about peak, you miss the whole fucking mountain range. And if you've got a mountain range of 9,000 foot, peaks, and you're looking around, you're like, that's a big fucking mountain range, And when you look at all the other mountain ranges that are there at third base, if we were to look at it plotted on a chart, Scott's got a lot of work. And so, yeah, maybe he didn't have a peak. And Beltre reverse splits his career. That shit's always weird. Whenever someone reverse splits, it throws everything off. Edgar Martinez, reverse split guy. It throws everything off when they do that. But yeah, that's my critique about the peak. Any final thoughts, Brian, on Roland before we wrap up and get on to these last few guys?
Well, not so much a Roland, but a point that comes from Roland is career arc. Like the order your seasons come in, the good ones and the bad ones. If you're intermittently good, if you're good on the front end, if you're good on the back end, I mean that can really change your perception in the eye of the public.
Yeah, that's true. Let's quickly. Do you have any notes on Baker, who you have for Brian?
Yeah, Baker. I mean, another guy, the rare 5-tool third baseman. He was a great defender. I mean, he was one of the best at charging bunts and fielding them barehanded. And played. I mean, he could field anything. Just a great all around player. That World Series against Mathewson, where he hit those 3 bombs, earned his nickname. I mean, just the center of the offense of the $100,000 infield teams that went to all those World Series. He just could carry a team.
Yeah. Great
player.
points. I want to get back to Boggs. We've talked about Robinson several times already, so I don't want to get back into those guys. I'll quickly brush up on Boggs in a minute, but there's a couple of caveat picks, and you know me, I don't do many of these, but I went ahead and put Judd Wilson in to kind of acknowledge the Negro Leagues and just look how incredible that guy was. And even though we kept crappy records, that guy still managed to get 33 WAR. And I'm not a worshiper, I definitely respect WAR, but if he's got 33, then man, we missed something big in his career. And just acknowledging in a better world those guys were playing, and maybe he's got more cred, he's got more games played, and maybe gets more shine on him. So today we're talking about Judd and saying, hey, that's awesome. And it could be that maybe in December Brian and I are going to go to the Negro League Museum in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be in November, but probably December for me. And it could be that you guys could join us if you want. We're not selling any tickets. You got to come on your own, do your own shit. But I know we're talking about going, and so anybody interested in going, definitely let me know in DMs, and we can coordinate and see if it'll come together. It may not come together. This is dudes just doing dude shit. So we'll see how it goes. But I hope you guys are all feel invited, because if we could put a big crowd there for Bob, who runs that place, man, I'd have a big smile on my face, and so would Bob. And you all won't believe the amazing treatment Bob would give us as a group. So if you want to come along, if we can pull this off, man, I'd love to do it. So Negro League Museum shout out. Go ahead and do. You have same thing. You have Martin Digo, and you could put him at any position on the diamond and probably justify it. But go ahead and go.
Yeah, well, I had to put him somewhere. I mean, when the Negro League research was first coming out, he was a second baseman, and then he was a shortstop, and then, you know, as more information came out, he was kind of more of a primary third baseman. And I just wanted to give him some love, because you got to rank him some. That's the way I look at it. Is I'm just ranking the guys wherever their primary position was. So, for Dihigo, yeah, third base. I mean, could pitch, manage, did everything.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, big fan of that guy.
I'm a huge utility guy. Love utility players. Like when Brock.
Hell yeah, especially when they can pitch legitimately. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
When Brock Holt was doing his thing, the Texan Matt Damon was doing his thing for the Red Sox in 2018. Loved every second of it.
Yeah, no, all of that is good, and I'd like to see that anybody who can, like, I love Jose Oquendo. He's from the '80s and the 90s, but that guy could play anywhere, and it was like having 10 players, because they could rest anybody and he could sub in, and he was just everywhere. Maybe his offense wasn't brilliant, but you know what? He contributed in a lot of ways. There's something be said for a guy like Chris Taylor back when he was at his best. It's like, oh, this guy will go rock and sock and 15 home runs and play everywhere with no degradation on defense. That's huge. That's huge. And Martin might be the best one ever. You know, like this, if we want to give credit to the Negro Leagues, he was incredible and he was a superstar as a pitcher. He was great. Any final thoughts on Martin since you brought him up? I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it.
Oh, no, not really.
Okay. All right. Let's the last two guys that we all ranked at the top are really the very, very best. It's Beltre and Schmidt. Brian has Beltre a little lower. I guess, why do you have Beltre down at 9 instead of higher up? And you have Brett, who plays about 800 games less. Why do you have that disparity there with what the smart people picked?
Brett just had the better peak, could carry a ball club in a way that Beltre couldn't, in my opinion. Was more consistent. I mean, I understand Beltre, you know, he was out there in Seattle, kind of, you know, in a wasteland, but still, I mean, it is what it is. He's a great player. I know I didn't see him getting to 3,000 hits, and I was a big fan of the guy, getting him in the Hall of Fame before he got to 3,000 hits. I'm glad to see he got there and is going to make the Hall of Fame. I mean, who saw that coming? Like you said, with him on the end with those reverse splits. I mean, yeah.
But I got plenty more wrong though. More, when you get one right, you get to celebrate it. But that's it.
I just need more of a peak to get him up higher.
Sure. That's
the way I look
more
at
home
it.
runs. Is that what it did? If we would hit 40 more home runs?
Not. I mean, just having a couple of bigger seasons. You know, doesn't just doesn't have the peak for me, man. He doesn't have the signature moments. He didn't really carry a ball club the way the other guys did. That's my reasoning.
There's something to be said for name recognition and having the good fortune, if you can handle it, of playing in LA or playing in New York or, you know, playing in Atlanta when they go on a big run. You know, there's something to be said for that. And there's something to be said for, like, hey, you can be a world-class player, but if you're stuck on the St. Louis Browns, nobody's going to ever pick you for anything, you know, and that's just how that goes.
Yeah.
Only one team can win the World Series.
Yeah, I'm told that all the players that don't suck and should be embarrassed. That's what I'm told.
And then, if you think even prior to divisional series or LCSs, only 2 teams ever make the World Series. Never mind.
Yeah,
actually get to play.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't know about Beltre and Schmidt, because these guys compare well. They rack total bases at the same rate, the exact same rate, like to 2 decimal points. It's crazy. And
You
so
would
when
never
we think
guess.
about Schmidt, now look, there's a real era conversation there because Schmidt played in the 70s, and you look at the gap from him to the other third baseman. Ron Say was great, but he wasn't Mike Schmidt. And Beltray had some real good peers around him. Roland, Mike Lowell. I mean, all kinds of guys he was comparable to, and really.
Rodriguez toward the latter half of that career at the end.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
But even
Eagles.
Casey Blake was a pretty
Haven't even
good
mentioned
player.
him yet, aside from just all shortstop.
Yeah. Ramos Ramirez was there. And so Mike's ability to separate for his era is a really big thing in this factor. They hit home runs almost at the same rate, but Mike Schmidt hits a few more, and probably in a harder era, in harder ballparks, they hit home runs. But those two guys, man, you couldn't. First off, nobody has ever, at third base, no one's ever hit 3,000 hits, right? Then, again, I'm a stickler for the position. But I don't think anyone's even going to pass Beltray, and he's got the most. He's got how many hits is he at? 2,991. Man,
9 short.
and nobody's going to pass that. I don't think. Because Machado can't. He got too much time at shortstop. I don't think Ramirez has the legs in it. So, and it's just so hard to even get a hit now a day. Anyhow, so
Ramirez also has some games in left field at the start of his career as well.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Tomey has games at third base instead of first base and D, right? Like this, those early games. Who cares? It's a stupid top 10 list, right? But in this world, in my world, this is my world we're playing in. Those things matter, right? Anyhow,
Don
obviously,
Mattingly,
and look,
greatest third baseman of all time. There, book it and done.
I love it. George Kell. It's George Kell. By the way, if you drafted George Kell and had him for his whole career, you would feel like you won. We picked a great guy. That's our guy, right? That's the other thing is where nobody's bashing anybody. Even like, look, if you drafted Chris Brown, you probably would be like, no, that didn't work out. But yeah. So by saying, when I say that here's one thing I just can't escape when it comes to Beltray versus Schmidt. And Brian's heard me say this before. And again, I'm not against Mike Schmidt. I think he's an awesome player. When Beltray was playing third base for the Dodgers, the exact same age, right? When Mike was that age, he was prepping for his freshman finals for fall semester, right? At 18, and they thought he was 19. They're like this. So when they thought he was 19 in AA, they're like, "Holy shit, this kid is good. God damn, might be the best player I've ever seen." And these are OG minor league, long-time, lifelong coaches. And then it turned out he wasn't just the MVP at 19, he was MVP at 18. That's fucking bananas. And I wrote a long thing about Beltray just to kind of point these things out. He is the youngest debut and probably will be from now on in the NL in the last 50 years. Like nobody, and the guys that debuted who were younger, like to find a good debut that held, you got to go back like 70 years. And even then you're like, that's pretty good. I don't know, there's another Hall of Famer. I'll have to look and see. A Hall of Famer that debuted younger than Beltray in the National League. I mean, the last 100 years, there can't be that many of them.
Maybe
And
Mel
so
Ott.
it's a crazy thing. And then all these things happen, so it counts, right? But if he doesn't blow up his appendix and he doesn't get care for it in Dominican where they botch it, this man played third base with a colostomy bag. Like that's fucking bananas. Anyhow,
When
so
did you do that?
Don't want to get hit in that thing.
yeah, well, I was in his early 20s when he was playing for the Dodgers, and he's like, I'm playing. I mean, this is a tough
Damn.
son of a bitch. He played with the colostomy bag live, right?
Damn, I didn't
And
know
so,
that.
yeah.
I mean,
So when you see his numbers sag in his early 20s, one, he's in his early 20s, but two, he got wackoed for like 2.5 seasons because he wasn't even recovered and he was on the field playing. He basically misses almost like an unconscious. That's like you wouldn't happen today. They wouldn't be like, yeah, kid, go play ball. No, it's crazy. You have read into that, like that whole thing is nuts. All right, I'm going to shut up. I did too much talking right there. Any final thoughts on Schmidt and Beltray?
I mean, Beltray debuted at 19 years old and 78 days. 19.
Yeah.
A 19-year-old kid. Granted, Mel Ada just looked it up for us. 17 years old, 56 days.
Yeah.
I was
That's
taking
crazy,
calculus
too.
classes at 17 years old.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah.
This
It's
little kid is
crazy.
knocking dingers out of polo grounds.
right.
Granted,
Right.
284 feet to right field and this high leg kick, but still.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll have to include I'll tweet the link out to the piece I did on Beltre and Ramirez, just so you guys can see it. But yeah, underrated for what those guys were able to pull off. And obviously, look, Mike Schmidt is, for a lot of people, he is and will remain the greatest. There's no convincing them of that, and why bother? Because they're all great. Again, like if you had Matt Williams on your team instead of Mike Schmidt, you'd be like, you know what, we got the right guy. You'd be stoked. So, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Mike Schmidt's, to me, he's got to be number one third baseman of all time. I mean, he's the glove is crazy, the power. I mean, he didn't have the average, but I mean everything else is there. That's the only thing preventing him from being a 5-tool player.
Yeah, I love when players are bashing the big dumper. Like, look at his batting average. Like, look at Mike Schmidt's. It worked out. Like,
I mean, even then, if we're going back to it, look at Brooks Robinson. Dude hits 267 lifetime.
Yeah.
But I think if you have 16, 18 gold gloves, I think that kind of goes a little bit by the wayside.
It does. And look at the person that he was.
Yeah.
He just was incredible. So he
Another guy who's a leader.
Yeah.
Leader of the Phillies.
I mean, everybody adored Brooks Robinson, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like Mike Schmidt. He's not one of those guys that people don't like. They love him, and everybody loves Adrian Beltre. They all talk about how hilarious and what a great guy he was. So
just don't touch his
cool. So I'll wrap this up on my end and let you guys say anything else you want to say. Thank you all for watching. We're going to come back, and then pretty quick here, we'll do left field, and then we're going to complete that, and then probably come back around and do some different ones like best utility players, best multi-position players. We'll keep going. And if you want to come on, just DM me on X, and you can see we had goofy ass Cullen on the show, so we'll have.
I mean, yeah, and I'm the token Gen Z hire over here. I mean, come on.
That's right. Get out of here, you digital native.
Age demographic down a little bit, apparently.
That's right. You're the key demo. I'm not in the key demo anymore, so I need you here.
Yeah, you don't know what it is anymore. I used to have it, but now I don't have it, and I don't know what it is anymore.
I don't know what it is either, man. All right, and then Brian, anything to wrap this thing up?
I'll bring up Bob Elliott, Mr. Team, led the 1948 Braves to the pennant in the World Series. It's the only name I want to bring up.
Bob Elliott. All right, everybody. Thank you all for watching. We got something. Let me think what's coming up tomorrow. Oh, yeah. You'll like this. All right. So you guys will love tomorrow's show. Make sure you check it out. Follow us on X. You can find Cullen. It's not hard to find him. You can find Brian. It's not hard to find him. It's not hard to find me. And if you can't find them, just tell me and I'll connect you to them. Thank you all for watching. All right. Here we go.